Hello and welcome to the 10 Million in 10 Years podcast. I'm David and I've got Emily with me today. We are going to talk about how to get momentum back if you've lost it, if your momentum's feeling low. One idea that I've got came from a run yesterday with a mate. Shout out to Elliot. So he's got this like checklist, and I hope he doesn't mind me sharing this. I'm sure he won't. It's a process he goes through if he's ever feeling a bit off. It's like 6 different things that he'll consciously work through and be like, okay, have I exercised today? Have I done my cold immersion?
Wow.
What have I been eating? Have I been eating very well or have I not been eating well?
That is amazing.
It's cool, right?
Wow.
Yeah, and so it's just a good way to assess at a glance, like if I'm feeling shit, if I haven't ticked off all these things, there's probably your answer.
I'm going to take that advice.
It's the smartest,
That
logical,
wow,
easy to apply.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so just to continue on the list, there was like, who have I been hanging out with? Have I been hanging out with like uplifting people? Mm-hmm. Have I found myself in the wrong crowd? Have I been watching, is my screen time excessive?
Oh, yes.
And I'm not exactly rephrasing this exact list, but there's probably 5 to 10 things that he checks off. And there's your answer.
Wow.
How good, right? Go Elliot.
Yeah, it is powerful in the sense that it takes you back into reality when you start to go off track, and then either, berate yourself for why am I feeling this way? I'm a loser. I suck. I can never do anything right. It's like, oh, hang on a second. I went to bed at midnight and I had pizza the night before. I had too
energy
many
drinks,
glasses
beers.
of wine. I did this. That's why I'm feeling a bit sluggish, or I haven't even worked out this week. Oh my God, what am I doing? That is a really perfect exercise to just get you back into reality and back on track versus continuing along in that cycle.
Yeah,
that's very powerful.
Yeah, I think it's a really practical way to get back in the game. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's not to undermine any more severe, I guess, mood related issues that people may have, but I think for the bulk of for a lot of people this is helpful. So get your list, get your iPhone. If it's if you've got the iPhone, you can check off boxes and actually go through them.
Yes. Are you slating Samsung?
I just don't know how they work. They've probably got something similar. Do you have a tick box thing?
Not that I use that.
No.
I'm more of a pen to paper sort of person anyway. But that let's not get down that slippery slope. But no, that is a very, very. I'm definitely going to apply that rule next time I feel sluggish or in a slump or not feeling fantastic. For this time of year, we're in the middle of winter. Days are a lot shorter for sunlight. Typically one would be hibernating, but you are a sort of person that wants to achieve things and you want to dominate regardless of the seasons. What do you do personally that uplifts you and keeps you back on track when you feel not optimal?
A couple of things come to mind. One is that idea of buying space, so giving myself time to plan, reflect, not overthink in a negative way, but just to like give myself some breathing room to step back and to zone out of like the day-to-day and just go into a much larger view of life. And so that could be looking at goals, it could be planning things that are a bit further out. I think it just gets you out of that day-to-day rut sometimes. The other thing that comes to mind is the analogy of the way that electric vehicles handle the winter, which is not very well. So yeah, it is a real life thing. I think like there's a reason why certain animals hibernate during winter.
Absolutely.
Like it does drain more energy. And so I think probably nutrition's maybe even more important, right?
Yes, good point.
I know like you tend to eat more comfort type foods in winter, but just be mindful of that. Like try to eat clean and I mean, I don't have a magic bullet, but I like that checklist. I like the concept of buying yourself some space and getting out of that busy day-to-day work.
Absolutely. I think we all feel, whether we're introverted or extroverted, just having a moment to reflect on your own is a very powerful tool.
Massively, yeah. I mean, we were talking about walking yesterday, about how like in winter you got to rug up, like put these heavy coats on, and like you're literally carrying around more weight than you would in the summer. So it's definitely different, right? And that's the simplest way to look at that. But all of those same fundamentals that often get talked about, right? Hang around with good people, work out, exercise, get good sleep, go to bed early. That's it. That's really it.
Yeah, it's interesting because I do talk to a lot of people that you give these tips, right? You'll say, get good sleep. You'd say, eat well. You would say, hang around good people. And then you say that to somebody and immediately I would hear an excuse like, oh, well, you know, I've got a kid, I've got children, I have to spend time with my wife and family, I can't sleep at night, this, that, and the other. And I feel like all of those elements are important to note, but I also think if you want it, if you want to try, you would.
Yeah.
Is that racy to say?
Yeah, I mean, I think that having empathy is one thing, but also it's important just to, I just got to be so careful not to go into a rant, and
I know that's because the idea isn't to make people feel bad. This is because we got into trouble. Nick Brownlee, I'm really sorry if you're listening to this, and if referencing back to our 75 hard chat, it made it sound like we weren't at all. So if I say anything and it sounds like I'm talking about you, I certainly am not. I'm just it's like a broad sweeping statement around just certain things that I see. But yeah, I guess
with the podcast though, like it is it's like that analogy of if you're going to be vanilla, then you're going to appeal to the masses, but also you're going to be boring. So I'd prefer this podcast to be a little bit more spicy and offensive than safe and conservative. So I think I will say what I was going to say, which is,
Woo,
I mean, hey, you've got that above the line and below the line type diagram, which is quite hard if you're listening to this, but search it. It's essentially, if you're above the line, then you take ownership, you're accountable, and you take responsibility for your actions. Whereas if you're below the line, then you're blaming, you're making excuses, and you're in denial. And so, it's just that simple. Like, I know there's difficult situations people are in, and as I say, I do have empathy, but also there are always things within your control that you can modify and you can do better. I think if you're someone that's constantly making excuses, then I don't know. I don't know enough about, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that we talk about this privately all the time about everyone is complex. Everybody
very
has,
complex, yeah.
Reasons for why they do or don't do things, and it's not up for us to dissect that and wonder why, and sort of go down a vortex where you're like, why are they not doing this? X, Y, and Z. All I know is that if you really wanted to, you will find a way. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're passionate about it, you will make it work. And clearly that's not a priority. So because if I truly feel that if it was a priority, they would find ways to make this a top priority. So that's first and foremost. And the second one is, I've actually forgotten what the second one is. Second point that I wanted to make, but yeah, the above the line and below the line, that is really important, and that's not offensive at all.
The other thing is that it doesn't actually matter about other people, right? Like, that's the takeaway, is that it's all on you.
Yeah, Good
So
point.
just
Good
worry
point.
about yourself and
Yes.
like worry about what you can do as an individual.
Yes.
Like the concept of 1% better every day, I really like that.
Yeah.
I like the idea of small, just getting better.
Yeah.
It's just like getting slightly better, you know, like just a small example. Like when I failed 75 hard for getting the photo, it's like, cool. How am I going to make sure I don't do this again? So now it's like taking the photo before the coffee every morning. So stacking that habit onto something else that I do every day, rain or shine.
That is amazing. That
So I
is
think
such a good point.
practical little hacks like that, you know, I think we can learn from all around us if we want to get better. Like I learned the other day that you can press this button on your computer and it turns it into do not disturb mode. So it won't send any notifications, it'll sync with the phone. And so it's just like this tiny little thing that I've learned through a client, and now I use it all the time. And so I think just constantly being on the lookout for ways to improve, get better.
Yep. I love it.
Yeah.
I
there
think
you go.
that's a perfect wrap to this episode.
That is a wrap. Cool. All right. Thank you for listening. See you back in the next one. I just want to say a big thanks to my mate Andrew here at Ewell Forest Motor Company for supporting the episode and the podcast.
We specialise in high-performance British, American and European cars. As a listener and a supporter of David Mel's podcast, I'd invite any listeners to get in touch, have a look at our website, www.efmc.co.nz. Come and see what we've got out here and we'll take care of you.